Hello and welcome to February, and I am so excited to show you this month's bullet journal theme because when we talk about February, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is Valentine's Day, but I didn't want it to be all lovey-dovey. I wanted it to be a bit more self-love and a bit more self-care. So I was inspired by a few bits and pieces I'd been seeing around with the whole idea of a grid notice board bullet journal, so I've adapted that to this and I absolutely love it. So the theme for the month is basically our own little notice board daily. So we've got our grid and lots of bits and pieces pinned onto our grids. I want you to be able to customize this to yourself. So wherever you feel you need inspirational quotes or little doodles, you can add that in. Don't feel like you have to copy my template as it is. So let's have a look at the template that's included for Patreons. If you are watching on YouTube, there is a link in the comments which will take you to the website to purchase the full downloadable theme. So you've got your cover page, plus I always give you a blank in case you want to cut this out and use it as a sticker. Then you've got your week to view. So again, that whole idea of having a grid notice board, and these are just little notes that are clipped onto your notice board. The same for the dailies, and this is where you can start personalizing it with your own little daily messages, which I thought is a really cute idea. Included in the download, I'm just going to include a page of quotes that are this size, so you can cut them out or you can print them onto sticker paper and stick them into your planner. Or you can just write whatever you feel, like a little note to yourself. This one is, you were born to be real, not to be perfect. That was that day for Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and you can play around with this. You can do these on a separate bit of paper and cut it and stick it. You can do these notes sections on a separate bit of paper and put it in. It can be really kind of textured and you know, kind of scrapbooky looking. I thought would be really cute as well. So there's all of your days. Then you've got your habit tracker. I love this. And then our mood tracker is to just fill our jar of self-love with hopefully lots of hearts in pink, because as you can see on the guide, pink is good. So we want lots of pink hearts in there. And the page of extra titles in case you want to make your own spreads using the same title handwriting. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're using. I am using our hexagonal pencil, our hexagonal gel pen, a ruler, which I've got my lifestyle planner ruler. All of this is available to purchase on our website. If you are a Patreon member on our minimal tier or our creative tier, you do actually have a discount code for our website, and you can use that across any products that you see. Our wooden trays are back in stock now. And looking at TOMBOWs, so if you want to do similar colours to me, you are going to need a pink and a red. And then I've just kind of chosen a goldy colour to do the clips in, the paper clips, bulldog clips. And then a kind of beigey colour to do some wooden peg clips. A green to do our greenery. Always a black for titling, and then this kind of aqua colour just for some highlight details where I'm doing quotes and bits and pieces like that. So I will list the colours that I've used in the comments, but you can also do whichever colour scheme you want because it would work with any. Right, let's have a look at the pieces that you will need to know. Let's get a blank page. So there's not a huge amount, to be honest, because a lot of it is the grid. Now, let me show you what I've found. And I'm going to try get something like this made up for us, but I found this kind of stencil with lots of different stars, and it's actually got lots of shapes of hearts. So this could work really well for drawing our heart details. You can use something like that, or you can just draw a heart. Quite straightforward, you say? I mean, the trick is to keep it even. So there is one shape. And when we're doing like our heart-shaped bunting, it's just a matter of copying that across, and you can draw a line. And I've also done a couple of things where it's like a heart-shaped peg. I don't know if you've seen those, but I used to have some actually. So I've just drawn a heart and then done like a peggy shape behind it. What else have we got? So we've got the heart in a Polaroid as well. So like a cute little Polaroid. So you're looking at just doing a rectangle for that. And then the rectangle has got a smaller square in it. That's your basic Polaroid picture. Now you could put anything in there. So you could draw anything that you want. But for me, a heart was just quite easy. And then obviously, if you want to add a peg or something to clip it into your grid. The other thing I've got on there is some kind of eucalyptus style leaves. So we start with a branch and it's got a leaf on the end. And then we just do these kind of bow tie leaves all the way down. Quite straightforward, I feel, because it's doodly. We love the doodle ones. Makes it quite straightforward. The most difficult thing is probably the paper clip. So let's have a look at that. For this, what I'm going to do is like a bulb shape at the top. Let's zoom in a bit closer for this one. And then I'm going to take that down to a triangle. And then that triangle has got a straight line going all the way across. And then it all kind of interlinks like that. So that is the shape. And then I just want to give it a bit of detail. So all I'm doing is outlining these bits, and that's where I will colour those in yellow just to make it a bit more bold. And you could add a bit more detail if you wanted, but basically that is what we're going for. Really sketchy. So as I said with the quotes, I'm going to include just a page of PDFs of different quotes that if you wanted to cut out and stick in, you can. But all you're looking for is a rectangle, and you can do right in there whatever you want. You could, if you wanted, you could just put something like that in there and colour that in some nice different colours that fit in your theme. But any kind of quote can go in these shapes, and then obviously peg it onto your board. I've got a self-care checklist, and I kind of like the idea of doing this note paper that's maybe been torn out of a notebook. So I've done like a jaggedy edge at the bottom there, and then like a spiral bound notebook would have little holes at the top, wouldn't it? And then you can do, I've done like a checklist. I'm just scribbling this down here, but you can write, I don't know, bath and give it a tick, walk, whatever your self-care checklist would be. And that, I think, covers all of the shapes that we're going to be working into. So let's get looking at the template. So let's get a clean page of where we're going to start. And for me, the best starting point is to use the template. And as you know, I like to just trace it through using some pencil rubbings on the back. And just so I've got an idea of the layout. I'm not going to do the grid. I'm just going to lay out where I want bits and pieces to go. And then I'll come back to you. Okay, so this is going to give me like a really sketchy, very faint outline, but it just lets me know where everything goes. So I think the best place to start, and this is usually the last thing that I do on a normal bullet journal spread, I'm going to put the title in first because I'm going to leave the grid to the very last. So I'm just going to go in and put in Feb. Anyone else when they're writing February goes February, because it's really hard to remember. So February, that's going in. And then I'm going to take my fine liner and do the outline, because I know that on my notice board I've kind of got this cut out February pinned in. I'm using a 0.1. I've got a few different 0.1 pens that I kind of rotate through. I tend to burn through the nibs quite quickly. This one is the Tombow, and I do really like that one. So there's our February. Next, let's go for this green. So I'm using 158, which is quite a nice green colour, and I'm just going to pop in my greenery leaves. As you can see, really sketchy. These kind of, actually, it's a bit of a love heart shape. Now I look at it, it's less bow tie, more love heart. So those are just going in there. Whilst I've got my green pen out, let me just do the other side. I'm going to zoom in so we can get in a bit closer. So we've got the top one, and then you just kind of fan them out either side. And I'm going to go over these anyway with a fine liner, just to make them kind of pop out a bit more. But I actually love this green colour. This is a really nice greenery green. I can imagine this being kind of like dried eucalyptus would work really well, wouldn't it? Okay, so I want it to have quite a bold stalk, so I'm actually going to go in with 0.8 for the stalk of the greenery, just so it's quite a bolder line. Just moving it around so that my head doesn't come into the shot. I've been to the gym and I haven't washed my hair yet. If you've been following us on Journal Club, you'll know that I've been struggling a lot with a shoulder injury for the last 3 weeks. Finally getting to the other side of it, so I'm just trying to get back into the gym, but taking it easy on the arm. So I'm using actually the hexagonal pen for outlining these greenery leaves. This is my favourite pen. We do sell them on the website in 3 different colours, but they are also refillable, so we also sell the refills. But it just, I don't know whether it's the hexagonal shape, it sits really nice when you're writing, and the gel nib is just really easy to use. And unlike the fine liner 0.1 Tombows, the nib is metal, so it doesn't wear down. So it's a really good one for writing as well as sketching, but not quite as fine as the 0.1, which is why I go between the two. But if I don't want the line to be too fine, this is a really good pen for drawing. You do have to be careful with it though, because it does smudge, so wait for things to dry for sure. Right, what should we go in with next? Let's go in with the hearts, the heart bunting. So I'm going to do 1 in red, 1 in pink, really straightforward. So let's do the red ones first. I'm not going to get too particular about the hearts being exactly identical, because I like the whole mix match. I like that it looks sketchy. That's what it's supposed to look like in your bullet journal. Oh, I kind of hate and love that kind of sound of the pen at the same time. It's a bit like chalk on a blackboard, but it's also quite satisfying as well in a weird way. Okay, so there's all of our red ones. Now actually, whilst I've got my red pen open, I'm going to pop a red heart in one of our Polaroid spots up here, just because I've got my pen open. Okay, let's go back and do our pink hearts. There's actually not a great amount. Oh, I need a new pink. This nib is not great. It's gone quite feathery. It's been used quite a lot, this pink. So much so that I will have to put the colour in the comments because it's worn off the side of the pen because I have used it a lot. So there's the pink ones, and again, whilst I've got my pink pen open, just going to add a pink heart in there. Okay, next up, what shall we do next? Yeah, so all of these bits are quite easy. The hardest bit is actually, that's going to take the time, is getting the grid right and getting it in place and making sure it's evenly spaced. That's going to be the tricky bit. Let's go in with our paper clips. I've got a couple of gold paper clips. So what I'm going to use is, I believe it's 026 is the gold kind of yellow colour. I'm going to use the fibre tip, not the brush tip, just so I've got a bit more control. And I'm just going to put in the initial shape. And I do actually want to go over this with the 0.1. Do I? Yes, maybe I do. I don't know. I actually think I like it without going over it. But let's see. Might do a bit of both and make the decision. In my original spread that I've done in my journal, I've gone around it with a fine liner black. But I'm actually thinking, now I see it without the fine liner, do I prefer it? We'll find out in a minute. So there's our paper clip drawn in. Let's do our Polaroid outlines. For that, actually I'm going to put in the kind of wooden peg detail first, just so that I don't go over the line and I make room for it basically. So those ones have got pegs on. I've got a few more pegs down here, so I'm just going to add in a couple of pegs here whilst I've got my pen open. Okay, that's everything. Oh, I think I've got a peg on here. On there. Okay, I think that's it. Right, so let's do, I'm using hexagonal gel pen for this, and I'm just going to put our little Polaroid square in. Again, it can be, you don't have to be precise with it. I like when it looks quite doodly. So I haven't like finished the edges, and I've kind of rounded, that's done on purpose. I've kind of rounded the corners so it almost looks a little bit kind of cartoony. Let's put the peg in, our wooden peg, and then we've got our square for our Polaroid. I'm actually kind of not following the line that I've traced here because it's not quite central. Okay, so there's our Polaroid little heart for there. Then we've got our month to view on a little bit of notepaper. Again, I don't want it to be straight. I want it to be kind of haphazardy and not perfect. So in there, I'm going to use, you can either cut out and use the one that's in the template. If you've got the stamp, I've actually got these back in stock. So these are on the website, these months to view. We do need to take off 30 and 31 since February this year is a leap year. So I tend to just get a bit messy and scrape it off. You probably should use a tissue or something because otherwise you just get black dirty nails, but you know, I like making a mess. There we go. That's our month to view stamped in there. So yeah, you can write this in yourself or you can cut it and stick it in from the template. Let's go over here and just do the outline for our little quote up here. And it would come through. Am I gonna, I think I'm leaving, I'll show you what it looks like on mine where I've gone over it. I think I prefer it without the fine liner on, now I look at that. I'm gonna come back and write in there our little quote, but whilst I'm doing the outline, let's do this little peg down here and this a little bit of note paper, which is been a bit torn out of a notebook, and it's going to have those little notepad spirals at the top, and this is just going to be a little checklist of things for self-care that we want to do. So obviously journal, maybe take a bath, take a walk, meditate. Okay, and then shall I use a bit of a bigger pen? Let me go for 0.8. Let's see if this works. If I put 0.8, let me zoom in. 0.8 here, so I'm just going to put in a bit of a chunkier pen. Self-care. Checklist. And then with my pink pen, I'm just going to give it a tick. Yes, yes, all of the above. And maybe let's just add some little hearts onto there as well. Okay, that's my little self-care checklist at the bottom. And then my little quote. So like I said, you can use the selection of quotes, or you can find anything. You know, if you go on Pinterest, you really have got such a huge amount of amazing things that you can use, because this is for personal usage. This is your journal. No one else is going to see it. So you can kind of use some things from Pinterest. And then I'm just gonna, so we've got self-care in that kind of blue colour, and then we're gonna put down here is not, that's going in red, and then in pink, let's write selfish, because self-care is not selfish. It is so detrimental to your health to take time for yourself. So that, oh, I've just realised there's one paper clip up, one little clip here that I've not done over. Okay, actually that should be, you shouldn't be able to see the stalk through that. Just using a white pen just to almost Tipp-Ex that stalk out. You see that? Handy to have a white pen on hand for those particular reasons. Now let's look at the difference. So look, I really like the bulldog clips as they are. I don't know why it's so dirty underneath that. Look, they've gone really chunky when I've outlined them, so I think I prefer them like that. Note to self, I shall do that when I do my dailies. So that's where we're at. I've got this lovely sun coming in. Let me move my tripod so we've got a better light. Okay, so if we're looking at the Lifestyle Planner bullet journal, when you start one dot in like that, you're looking at every fifth dot being a grid line. So you've got what, oh sorry, I think it's every fourth dot, every fourth after that. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be a grid line. Let's get our ruler out. That would be a grid line. So we're going to need a rubber. I didn't mention that at the start. We're going to need a rubber today. 1, 2, 3, fourth line here. That's going to be a grid line as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it works on my grid paper. It's going to work around 2 centimetre because each dot represents 0.5 centimetres. So you're just kind of marking out where your grid is going to go. Like I say, really important that you do this in pencil first, because it is so easy to make mistakes, and you will be so annoyed with yourself if you've made a mistake and you can't get rid of it. So, especially when you've taken the time to do all of the work before. And the reason that we're doing the grid last is so that we can draw all of our items on and have them sitting on top of the grid. Whereas if we'd drawn the grid first, it would be really difficult to kind of clear the space underneath. Okay, so now we're doing our horizontal. It's going to work exactly the same. So every fourth dot, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just realised that you probably didn't see the rest of the page because I'm only doing half. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, you would have just had me chatting. You can imagine I'm drawing in grids. I'll show you the rest in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. That's going to be a grid line there. And let's push this time. Let me push the page up so you can see what I'm doing. Difficult to see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. But a lot of this grid one is actually covered because we've got our February titling kind of scrap paper that's in there, so you won't see much of that. So we're here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got a grid line here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's there? We're getting the gist of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you don't have grid paper, then just work out, I mean, 2 centimetre squares seem to be quite a nice distance, so just measure out 2 centimetres and go from that. Oh, I've just realised we need some string on our heart bunting. I haven't added that on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it works out a little bit short at the bottom, but that's okay. Wherever you want to take it to, you can have like a half grid at the bottom. Okay, so that should give us our grid, and now you just need to do the pen. So I'm going to use probably going to use my hexagonal pen, but be careful because it is a gel pen. It does smudge. If you don't want it to smudge, I do recommend using a fine liner. Maybe we go in with a fine liner. Let's use the fine liner. Let's be sensible. So what I'll do is I'll speed this bit up and I'll meet you on the other side. So that's everything in. So your last thing to do is to let it dry for a bit and then rub out all of your pencil lines, and we are finished for today. I absolutely love this. It is, I would say it's probably one of my favourite bullet journal spreads so far. So I would love to see what you get up to, and I hope you enjoy filling your February with lots of self-love, and I'll speak to you next month.